Um, so let's go ahead and introduce our presenters today, Todd Case and Marcus Potter. Todd is ARA's new president, and Marcus is ARA's new vice president. And the goal for today was to recap the highlights from 2025, highlights in our industry, and really just talk about what we can expect for our industry headed into 2026. So, gentlemen, thank you for being here, for taking the time out of your schedules. And Todd, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Tony. So, Marcus, how you doing today?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's something. How about around this campfire, we're going to sit here and have a little chat and hopefully give some insight to what's been going on with the ARA.
I love it, man. What about that view, man? What an awesome day.
You know, I think you just told me a minute ago it's beginning to snow where you're at, so right along with that,
Must be coming off the mountains.
for sure, for sure.
So, what do you think? What do you think about this year?
Man, I tell you, it's been amazing as I sit back and I look at all the things that we've done over the last year, and I think we'll talk about a few of those things over the next hour. Hopefully, we'll get some really good questions, but it's just unbelievable at the progress that has been made. But it wasn't that hard to do that with the foundation that was laid before us. They kind of handed off the torch, and the foundation of all the leaders before us really made that a lot easier as we went forward. I just think it's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And the teamwork that we have behind us with the members of the association and the repossession community, it just helps continue to drive that in the direction it needs to go.
Without a doubt. We'll get into some of that as we go forward. I know we laid out some bullet points, but we're going to keep this very just conversational. I hope everybody that's on here will enjoy the conversation and get something out of it. But as we work through this fireside chat, it's going to be an exciting time. I think it will lead to where we've come and where we're going over the next year.
Yeah, I agree. Can you remember back when you joined the ARA? I mean, I think it was 2015 for me. I had no clue what it was about, what it would bring, what kind of value I'd get out of it. I remember, just joining because someone said I needed to join. The clients are going to like it. It's going to look good for you. I remember seeing so many people at my first NARS walking around. I had no clue what to do, where to go, what to join, what to participate in. People at that time, it just seemed like everybody had a T-shirt on with some type of repo slang on the back or something. And it was kind of just a casual environment, and there's real, to me at least, because I didn't know anybody, I just didn't really know which direction to go with. How about you?
It was definitely deer in the headlights for sure. Here I come, this repo guy from the Carolinas that didn't know anything about anything. I really wasn't sure even what the value the ARA was going to give me, but just as you, I was told, hey, you need to be part of something. And then not only be part of something, you need to get involved. Um, it was crazy. And now here we are sitting here doing this right now with, I don't know, Tony's on here. He could tell us how many people are on here. But I remember sitting at a conference somewhere. It's just a little backstory on me. Sitting at a conference somewhere 10, 15 years ago, my wife was sitting beside me, and there was a question that came up, and I got nervous. I was sweating. Next thing I know, they're handing a mic to me, and I'm supposed to stand up and ask a question. Um, and now here we are today, right? And you're the president, I'm the vice president, and we're having this chat, and we're talking about a year in review. I mean, it's just crazy. But you know what? The ARA was part of that. The ARA is what got us to where we are today. They're really driving an initiative and moving the entire industry forward. Yeah, so if I remember when it was when I started, yeah, light years ahead of where we are today, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, for me, it was probably 2019. I was contacted. They wanted me to join a panel. I remember when they said, "Hey, you're going to be on the panel with Vaughn and Dom and James McNeil," and I was like, "Well, those guys are rock stars, man. I got to definitely join this panel, right?" But I remember it was about growing a successful repossession company, and my first experience at NARS, like in a professional setting, was that. I got up on stage, I got to meet these guys, and I was honored to be with people that have had businesses like they do. But really, it really, to me, showed me that, when you get involved and you participate, there's a lot more to offer. Just not only with what you gain from someone else, but what you can offer them, because we all brought some insight to the table that day. And for me, that's where it started.
Yeah, it's funny how you talk about that, getting involved and what that does, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Um, I'm a little bit ahead of the game here, but can you believe how many people over the last 2 years have got involved? We've created committees. We've got so many more people that are really putting forth the effort, doing their part. The membership, how that's just grown, and what that committee has done. Amy Bednar, one of our board members, has really just took that and carried that, making sure the new members are really getting involved and bringing that to light. That's just been awesome. What's happened there? Um, yeah, it's just amazing how getting involved can really, really help and drive it forward and bring all the new ideas to, in this particular case, the ARA, to help us continue to move forward. The new folks that are coming in come in with ideas and gives us the opportunity to run with that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. All the new committees and the committee members for that fact, this year we put together, and we'll get to that, but we put together some new committees, and the committee members that have expressed interest in these committees is just, it's beyond what you would think. There's so many people that have interest in it that we can't even fill this, we don't have enough seats to fill them, to put everybody in a seat, excuse me. But moving back a little bit, you remember when you were asked to get on the board, or you showed interest to get on the board, how intimidating that was, and you didn't know if you were going to say the right thing or do the right thing. I mean, I remember last year, I got voted onto the board, and I remember Star and I, after walking into that side room that we all went into, and you guys were already talking about business because you guys were already on the board, and we're looking at each other like, what did we just sign up for? Because of all the chatter was back and forth, and actually kind of gave us a kind of an idea before we even got our feet wet with that, how much the ARA actually does. A lot of stuff behind the scenes, and that really, that's something we're going to change this year is bringing some of that to light of what we're actually doing.
Yeah, I remember when I got on the board, honestly, almost tenfold to when I just joined. I was terrified. But you know what? I was surrounded by folks that really just took me under their wing and brought me into the role that I'm in today. It was awesome, and some of those people are still here today on the board. Some have moved on, but it's been a great experience as far as that's concerned, and how we got here and where we're going. I'm excited to tell everybody about all the things that we've done here shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. But look at how far the ARA has come. I mean, we highlighted some points, from back when, it started to where it is today. We've had some great leaders. Without those leaders, we wouldn't, of course, be where we're at today. The road really, has been laid pretty easy right now for us, to continue driving this in the direction it needs to go. Look at us today. I'm the V, or you're the president.
Wait,
You want to switch roles? I'm the
no,
president and you're the VP.
good.
I remember in Reno that, we're out there, we're talking, and next thing the time comes for the elections, and election happens, and we go back, and again, it seems like we always end up in a side room or something like that. But, Vaughn asks, hey, Todd, will you be the president? And I remember I'm looking around like, who's he talking to? And it finally set in, and it's like, we're here now, and what an honor. But it's an honor because of the leadership before us, and the team that built this to where it's at today. From years ago to now, they've really made it so it's pretty easy for us.
Yeah, as I stated before, the foundation that was laid for us, it's given us a really solid foundation. You go back decades and watch all the work that's been done and how that torch has been handed off from person to person. that's bringing us where we are today. I mean, the folks before us had some really heavy lifts, um, and the foundation is strong now, but we really do have some big shoes to fill, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this. So with ARA, I mean, it's been around for a while, and they've accomplished a lot of things. Some of those things that, let's highlight some of those here. Such as the white paper series that we put out on compliance and insurance. What do you think about that?
We've done quite a few white papers, in all honesty, and doing those white papers and bringing that information back to the agent, but also, as I'm sure we have some lenders on here today, that information has been vital to the lenders and the forwarding community. So getting the partners together to do those white papers, and Todd, I don't know if you've sat in on any of those projects. Um, I think I can say fortunate. I've sat in on one of the white papers. It's a job. So, but the value that is given back to the entire community has been just priceless.
Yeah, I've got the experience there with the technology committee. So moving into the ARA, one of my I was immediately tasked with being the chair of the technology committee. I remember my response to Vaughn being like, "I don't know anything about technology," and he's like, "You got it, bro. You got it." So we moved forward with it. Again, let's talk about the team. They had a solid team on the technology committee that stood behind me. It was able to bring me up to speed pretty quick, and we were able to keep moving the agenda forward. But one of the things was the white paper that I was responsible for, and so I helped with that. And you're right, there is a lot that goes into it. When you break a committee down and break down all the projects and progress that they made, and actually put that into written form, that's a lot of work, and it's very impressive. Is the main part of that too.
I think
But
we can use it
you know,
as a recruiting tool right now for the next white paper for some volunteers.
that's right. But let's talk about year over year growth, and not only with the ARA, but what about NARS?
Man, I remember going back, let's just go back 3 or 4 years and look how the transformation of NARS has happened. 3 or 4 years ago, I thought it was something. And then, we're now in Orlando again, and I looked at last year's NARS, and it was absolutely light years ahead of where it was 4 or 5 years ago. Sitting on the planning committee now, and watching the things that are going to happen in 2026, that's an exciting time. I thought last year was something. This year is going to be really something. But I mean, how that whole program has moved forward, not just from the professionalism, but the information that is being provided to the community. I can tell you without a doubt, the project of putting NARS together and bringing that to the community has probably helped the community far more than any of us can even measure what it's done as far as from an education standpoint, learning tips and tricks of the trade, bringing agents and lenders and forwarders together to collaborate and talk, to help thrive their business. It's just been absolutely amazing. And it's far and ahead of what you talked about back in, what did you say, 2019 or whatever, with the
15,
t-shirts, with the
15.
repo. 15, 15. We don't want to start when I started because, we'd be going into 19 something. And we don't.
Yeah, it's way more professional. I got to admit that over the years, the people that are they're putting effort into it. They're showing up well dressed. They're willing to participate. They want to get involved, and it's amazing. It's amazing where it's come from and where it's going. We have how many ARA members now? A little over 300, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah, and almost everybody's getting involved.
That's correct.
Yeah,
300.
yeah. So let's continue to highlight some of these things. Like we got some free contract reviews by legal experts. You got some clear guidance on legislative and regulatory things. Can you explain a little bit more about those?
Yeah, so let's talk about the contract review. That's obviously the legislative is massively important, but let's talk about the contract review. And I want to make sure that the agents out there know that this is available to them. So we put together a contract review committee, and this committee will take a contract that you might get from a lender or a forwarder, and they will review that and get that back to you. I mean, Todd, these contracts come over and they're just pages and pages and pages. Sometimes it's great to have an extra set of eyes on that. But not only is the contract committee taking your contract and reviewing it and then maybe highlighting some things for you, we now have lenders and forwarders that are reaching out to us ahead of the game when they're going to go put out a contract and say, look at this from your perspective. Highlight some things that you might see that will pose problems. And they're working with us where we're becoming the standard within the industry to make sure the repo side of the equation, the agents, are being addressed. Back in 2015, I'm not really sure that was ever done. And today we now have that done. So I'm super excited about that contract committee. I'm not on it. Patrick Dunleavy, one of our board members, chairs that. At the conclusion of this, if anybody has, any questions or what have you, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to home office, and we'll put you in touch with those folks that handle that. But that is vitally important. The legislative committee, they're going to Washington and working with the legislators on what we do here in the industry. Talk about the new chair we have there and kind of how that's moved forward, Todd.
Yeah, so the new chair for that committee is John Newberry, and John's, he's reached out and he's talked to the members of the committee, and he's actually assigned Dan Heath as his co-chair there. And I was very impressed with how John's taken over and consulted with the members there. But he wants to continue that in the right, in the direction it's been moving. And of course, prior to that, that committee has ran pretty good. Like you said, they've taken trips to Washington. I've had the opportunity to go to Washington too through the Repo Alliance and actually experience how some of this stuff goes down. And it's a busy day. When these guys go to Washington, it's nonstop. You don't stop at all. I mean, you have a brief lunch, but then you're just go. Talking to different different leaders throughout our nation. And these guys work hard. They work hard to make sure that we continue to move forward as an industry, and that there's not things that pop up that are going to stop us. So it's going in a good direction. And if you guys have any concerns with that, John Newberry is your contact. He's having one of the kickoff meetings for the new year here early in January. So please reach out to him or Dan Heath, and one of them guys can make sure that your concerns get addressed.
Let's finish the topic with the tech committee, but before we go there, I want to hit a couple others. I think it's important that everybody knows some of the committees that we've established. And, over the last 2 years, we started putting together committees, which was very, very small with the ARA. And now that's becoming a staple within our association of putting this together for the membership. I remember when I signed on with the ARA years and years and years ago. I signed on, like I said, it was deer in the headlights. Well, now, and I mentioned her earlier, we have Amy Bednar, who is the chair of that committee, literally reaching out and having her team reach out to members and talk through the various different programs and the things that the membership does, right? That would have been extremely vital to me. I'm sure that would have been vital to you when you started to really learn as far as what the ARA does. And I'm going to go into one more, and then I'll let you take the next one, is the mentorship committee. So we have Dom out in California. And if you don't know Dom, you can't miss him at any conference. He's the guy that's just smiling like crazy. Not so much.
He's kidding.
But now Dom's reaching out to members once it's been handed off from the membership committee, or someone who's even been long-standing. Maybe they're having some issues, or they're looking for some guidance and lifting their company to the next level. And he's reaching out, and he's got his team reaching out, talking to them, seeing how they can help elevate the agent to the next level. I mean, it's amazing what the ARA is doing in that capacity. And when I say proactive, that guy is proactive.
He is, and he takes his job seriously. You can definitely tell he was a drill instructor at one point, because he has that, and he can instill that in you that, hey, listen, this is important. This is the direction you need to go. Again, if you want to take it serious, that's what you need. I didn't have that when I first started. There were probably somebody out there doing something similar, offering some guidance. However, it was not promoted like it is today. So I think that's a win for us, definitely. We'll go back to technology committee. When I got put into that, I think I was overloaded because there's so much going on with that committee. That's probably one of one of the forefronts of the American Recovery Association is the technology that's involved. And the work that Wayne Ray and the team over there was doing was just incredible. I got to experience that firsthand, and we got things sorted out, and we kind of spread some things out. And of course, we know what Wayne's he's moved into a somewhat different position where he handles our commercial operations. However, the committee he's still totally active in that committee, making sure that we continue with the technology. But we were able to bring on establish a partnership with RDN where we actually had John Civet and Jordan in our meetings, and they can consult with us when we needed it. And of course, what a great partner RDN is for all of us with the technology. And obviously it's pretty sure it's the system of record for most of us. But one of the things was, obviously most of you guys know my passion for agent safety was reestablishing the violent tagging. And we were able to do that with RDN in record time. Again, we've rolled out phase one with RDN. We were able to get that rolled out just before NARS of last year, and they're working on phase two now. But I remember multiple meetings back and forth with not arguments, but disagreements on, hey, we need it this way, but we can't do it that way. We need it this way. All in all, RDN was excellent. They supported our decisions. We can work together to make sure that this was something that could be rolled out to protect our agent community. And I'm very proud of what the relationship that we had and the work that the whole team did together. So that was a big one there for us. Obviously, MBSI has worked with us as well on establishing some violent tagging things and some best practices and smoother operations, streamlined operations with them. Another thing that came up with us is I presented the need for a key committee, as well as much as this may be a temporary committee. Obviously, most of the group here knows that we've been challenged with some major key concerns this year. And this committee has been able to make some movement and collect a lot of data, number one, and have conversations with people that we normally wouldn't have had conversations with. I'm pretty proud of that committee. We've streamlined some processes within that we'll be releasing here soon, as well as defining some different actions and types of procedures that go on within the key process. One of the big things with that is we established the first ever forwarder roundtable within the key committee, which is going to expand out to just an ongoing meeting monthly with the ARA. And I'll let you comment more on that in a minute, Marcus. But I remember looking at you, Marcus, when we first did that, and about 5 minutes before the meeting started, thinking, what are we doing? I mean, we've never had these people all in the same room, and now we're going to have all the forwarders in the same room. We're going to be talking about the same things together. And is it going to go smooth? Is it not? We had 8 questions, I think, put together for that conversation, and we think we got through 2. But the conversation, if you remember, was so free-flowing and so natural. Everybody was actually getting along. You would have thought we were sitting here at a campfire like we are today.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? So about a year ago, we put together at the ARA a lender roundtable doing very much the same thing. I'll circle back to that, but when the forwarder roundtable came up, we were on a pre-meeting to that, if you recall, Todd, and you guys were going through bullet points and had like 10 of them. And then somebody said to me and said, hey, you've done the lender roundtable. What do you think so far? I went, yeah, you're going to get through maybe 3. And they're like, no. So then this roundtable begins on the forwarder, and we barely got through 2. But what comes out of that is just amazing. Same thing holds true with the lender roundtable. It's very free flowing. We'll begin the conversation. We have some bullet points. We'll have the group of folks there together, and we're talking about topics that really matter. There was a lender out there at the conclusion of the first or second lender roundtable that called us up afterwards and said, man, having this group together, we are really making some headway and pushing the initiative and helping the agents that are on this call today by those roundtables. I can't even begin to tell you how important that's been and how much progress that has been made. Don't get me wrong. When we get in on these calls and we're talking to these folks, I love the analogy that was given by a partner in the industry where they said, this is a gigantic ship in the ocean. And if we want to turn that ship around and bring it back to port, it takes miles to make that ship turn and come back. So, but these lender and these forward roundtables are beginning to make that ship turn because, and we're going to talk about this a lot, because of the transparency, right? And those conversations, I don't know, you can tell me what you think, Todd, but in those conversations, we're really able to sit down with the audience and have very candid conversations and open, very different than what happens on a one-on-one case.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually super surprised, how free flowing the conversations were and how honest everyone seemed to be. These conversations just led into that they want more. They're like, when's the next one coming up? So, I think it was very productive. And again, I agree with you 110% on where it was going and how educational it was for us just as much as it was for them. And
Well, that's
one of the
something.
big
Go ahead.
one of the big things out of that too is the amount of partnering that they want to do. We've gotten that feedback from several of them that say that we'd like to partner with you guys to figure out better processes, or we'd like to partner with you guys to figure out a more streamlined process. I think that's very impressive.
And it's very proactive. They're calling us way ahead of the game and going, and I think back, right? Because I've got a couple of years in the industry. We'll just go with that. Um, but I think back as I look at some of the folks on here, and they've been on in the industry as long as I have, what happened 10, 15 years ago as compared to what's happening today. Today, it's they really and truly are engaged. And by they, I mean the lenders and the forwarders are really and truly engaged. Even though sometimes we don't think so, um, they're reaching out, wanting to know what can they do to make this process or this procedure really flow all the way through the agent. Sometimes things come out and maybe they didn't reach out to us and it doesn't work quite as well as we would like. But by having the relationships and being able to get on the phone, work through some practical common sense solutions. I mean, we just did one with a lender and a forwarder this past week, last week, I believe it was.
Yep.
We were able to jump on a call, come up with a very practical and reasonable solution, and it helped the agent community. It was amazing. I think 5, 10 years ago, yeah, that would have not happened.
Yeah, and again, I wasn't involved with it 10 years ago, but I can see from the progression that from the time I've been involved in the short time that it is much easier now to get somebody on the line or to discuss a concern and have a reasonable response to it.
I did want to go back real quick to your tech committee deal.
Sure.
Left something out that I thought was important. Um, in that tech committee, you're working with both RDN, MBSI, and some of the forwarders that may have their own platforms, as well as some other projects. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So in this, did you know that RDN is looking for a top 10 list for their platform and clear plan and clear data for improvements?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's something we don't want to miss. So yeah, RDN reached out to us midway through the year last year, asking for the top 10 concern list. And what they want is concerns, improvements, or anything that needs to be done that we feel would improve the RDN or Clear Plan platform. We got so focused on the violent tagging that we kind of put that to the side a little bit. We put out a survey, I believe, and got a decent response from it, but we're going to revamp that. And as a request from RDN, they say they got the resources to jump right on that and get something worked out for us. So, that would be something that I look forward to here in the next month from all you guys. If you guys have a concern or just an improvement, even something you'd like to see different on ClearPlan or RDN, as long as it's reasonable, they said they're willing to work on that for us. Glad you brought that up, Marcus.
Yeah, it's awesome because I really thought it was a little bit of a secret, but I had heard that I might be throwing them under the bus a little bit here, RDN that is, but I hear they're really going to throw some resources at the agents this year and do some things on the RDN side to really help them out. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a secret, I think.
So let's keep going on and let's talk about some of the other things that we have moving forward. Obviously everybody, I kind of touched on it, but with the violent tagging and then, of course, everybody's probably seen me at NARS presenting about situational awareness and threat assessment. But this year we got a new committee that's kind of dealing with that a little bit. It's the Recovery Agent Protection Committee, and I believe it's ran by Amy Bednar. Um, is that correct?
I honestly, shame on me, but I can't tell you who's leading that committee. I know it's there, but I don't know who's leading it.
Okay. Yeah, I believe Amy's running that committee. She's working she's working with AFA on that, I believe, a member from AFA who's just recently joined us. And I apologize for that. His name escaped me. But the committee is actually very important to this to the ARA and the entire community. They're going to continue driving forward, this message and how important agent safety is and agent protection. And obviously, we have the RIBF in unfortunate instances. So we're going to continually keep, supporting the RIBF, and in those unfortunate instances, we have there's a plan for a fallen agent or their families, to moving forward.
Yeah, that's critically important. And we talk about those things pretty regularly. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is our monthly education webinars. Um, we were talking with Tony about that the other day, and the participation in that has continuously grown and grown and grown. And we have exciting ones coming up. I know we're getting ready to shift gears here in a second and move from what we've done to where we're going in 26. But as we move forward on those webinars, it'd be exciting to make sure we have the participation and people continue to get involved in that. A lot of work goes into those webinars. And so that's a touching point that I wanted to talk about, that if you were not involved in those webinars, to make sure that you do get involved. It's something that's been great for the ARA.
Yeah, those topics don't stay the same. If somebody has an idea or a topic of interest, obviously present that to the area, and we can see if we can make that into something.
For sure. So we've gotten a little over 30 minutes into this, and I definitely want to make sure we take time for questions. What do you think if we move into what we're going to do going forward in 2026?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go. So when Marcus and I, took the new president and VP spot, one of the things that we said that we were going to make sure that we did was continue to establish best practices through our streamlined processes and communication, and have better transparency. Not to say anything about how transparency was, but it's often easy for us to just move about our business and assume that everybody knows what we're doing, and in some cases they don't. So one of the things I wanted to starting in January was an ARA monthly newspaper. I know we've had news and views and things like that in the past, but I want this to be a monthly newspaper that comes out that includes current industry events, concerns, some recaps from the prior month, and any progress or changes that have been made, important to us. Also, key takeaways from monthly ARA board meetings. Generally, you guys do not hear from the ARA as far as what happened in a board meeting or what a key takeaway is. So we want to make sure that we share what we can and share at least the key takeaways with you guys.
How often do those, Todd?
What's that?
How often do those meetings happen?
Monthly.
Every month. So we could put out some bullet points in the newspaper once a month, kind of what we did in the board, just high level overview type stuff. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. I'd like to do something like that, and even include like a new member section. A lot of us don't know who the new members are coming in, but a new member section announcing the new membership, as well as a section to showcase our partnerships and the discounts. We have a lot of partners that are offering discounts to ARA members. A lot of people don't know what those are, so we want to make sure that our membership takes advantage of those before they do make a purchase or decide to go one way, and be able to take advantage of that discount.
Where do they find those discounts at?
So again, that's a program that we have where we reach out to partners, vendors. We have several of them, that offer discounts to ARA members. From vehicle cameras to body cameras to DRN cameras or LPR cameras. There's discounts offered out to our membership.
It's crazy because so many members don't even know that exists. I know the new members are learning about that going in, but those of us that have been around for a while, forget or didn't even know they were there. So it's awesome that we're able to bring that to light to remind people that we have a committee that's out there actively trying to get discounts for you to get the things that you need to run your business.
Yeah, and Marcus, have you heard about our compliance and vetting service?
Yeah, I have actually. I have. And so that I get it right. So Wayne Ray is in charge of that program. So I reached out to him to make sure that I hit his program right because if you know Wayne, he can give me a long list of things to say. So I said, give me a 30-second elevator ride here. So I'll tell you a
Well,
little bit about
first of all, nothing Wayne says is only 30 seconds, but go ahead.
that's just getting him started. Um, But that being said, so with the compliance and vetting and monitoring, at the very beginning, I thought that was the car certification. Come to find out, it's not. That's just a small sliver of what the compliance, vetting, and monitoring does. So there's a side for the repo agent, and then there's also a side for the lending community. So if you're a lending community and you're not part of our compliance and vetting, you should reach out to Wayne and he'll give you the long version, not the elevator ride that I'm getting ready to give you. But for the agent, what does it mean? So the compliant vetting and monitoring provides clear, credible, and national recognized way to demonstrate that you meet the industry and regulatory expectations. That doesn't just include your car certificate. That also includes anything that you would have like business licensing and insurance and background checks and site inspections. But here's the awesome thing. And this is why it's so important on the lending side of the house. It's live. It's not a one time a year deal. So it's constantly going in there monitoring and making sure those things are up to date. And then it's notifying you, the agent, in advance that something is coming up and you're going to fall out of compliance on whatever that regulatory item is, whether it's your insurance or your business license or whatever that may be. So from the agent side, it's keeping you completely compliant and up to date in real time. And on the lender side, it's giving them that same information to make sure that they're using an agent that is compliant and up to date on all of their regulatory stuff. So from a perspective from an agent side, we love that, right? Because now we know the guy or the girl down the street is operating their business in a compliant and regulatory way. The lender's happy, the forwarder's happy, and even we're happy from the ARA because we're doing everything we can to help keep you above board. What did you
Yeah,
did
and I
you
know you referenced the car certificate, but ARA certificates, the CCRS program there, that's continuing education, right?
Yes, it is.
So when our employees, when they have to recertify or get annually, they can just take a test, or they got to take the whole thing over.
No, they get to take the continuing ed class, right? So you take that first test and it's pretty arduous, right? It's very intensive and you have to go through that whole program. And then the following year, it's just a continuing ed. It's very much like if you were a school teacher and you're teaching in college and you've got your degree, you went to college, but then you have to continue on year over year, keeping that annual certification up. So we're looking at it in a very much viewpoint, very similar to that.
Very cool. Very cool. So what else for this year upcoming? I mean, we really need to continue to bring our membership up, strength in numbers. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. So that has been a drive that we have been doing now for about the last 2 years, really heavily. Not that we weren't doing it prior, but it's really been an initiative that we've taken on to really drive that membership. And the growth has just been outrageous. I remember when we had back in Reno, I believe it was when we were in October, it got brought up the amount of members that had increased, and the entire board was just astonished to the growth that had happened from the year prior.
Yeah, very impressive, very impressive. So moving up towards NARS this year, it's going to be incredible. I mean, I'm on the planning committee too now, and just so you guys know, I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but to me, I was always wondering how the planning committee has to start a year in advance. They get done with NARS 2025, and I think in May they already had a meeting, in July they had a fly-in, and they've had several meetings since then. So it's very impressive. But watching it happen, it speaks no justice for the time and effort these people put in. But just listening to what's going on, it's going to be impressive. What do you think?
It's going to be wild. I know I touched on it earlier, and I was talking about what happened back 4 or 5 years ago versus what it was in 25. 26 is a totally new level. I'm excited to see the folks arrive and just watch them as they walk through the pieces that have been put together. This team has put together a crazy amount of work on this program already. And we're just, shoot, Todd, a little over 4.5 months away. It'll be here before
Yep.
you know it.
So
Hey,
I
I
know
think
there's a lot of secrets that we
real quick, I think there's some sponsorship still available. So, if there's anybody on this call that wants to get involved and get your name out there, this would be a great opportunity to jump on a phone call or get onto the NARS website and see what's available to you. It's great marketing for your company. And that goes for lender or forwarder or whoever has a sponsorship that's available. The repo agent, get out there, see what's available for you.
So we got a lot of secrets that we can't reveal for NARS 2026. But if we can give them a little bit of a tease, what would you say would be the number one thing or one of the things we should give them a heads up on?
For NARS itself or for what the ARA is going to do in 26?
Or what ARA is going to do? I'm sorry.
Or what ARA is going to do? So, every year we have an agenda or a topic that we really want to talk about. And I think this year, one of those topics that's really going to be great for the entire industry is escalators. And I know it's been talked about a little bit, but I think we're really going to get on an initiative this year working with the lenders and the forwarders to talk about escalators. That's one of the things that's been a little stagnant over the years. And when I say a little, I'm being very facetious as far as how those contracts have been. And we've already spoken. This is the farthest I'm gonna go on this teaser with a couple of lenders out there, and it seems to be very palatable for them. So that's going to be one of the things that we talk about this year, and the value of that to the agent ecosystem. That's hugely important. We've already touched base a little bit on one of the teasers on NARS 26, but I don't want to talk too much about that. I feel like we've already given away a lot. I want to keep that a little bit, in the back pocket for them to see when they get there. Because those are a couple of little teasers that are coming up over the next 12 months, 4 months for one of them.
Well, man, we talked about a lot of things, Marcus, and our time is running short here. Before we get it too far, and we want to ask for some questions from the audience, or do you have anything else to offer?
No, I think we should take some questions. I don't have that pulled up. I'm hoping Tony can propose those questions to us. I don't know. We really didn't talk through how he was going to get those to us, but that would be great.
Yeah.
And if you haven't asked a question, I believe Tony started out with some housekeeping at the very beginning of the hour. You could put those questions in that chat, if I'm not mistaken. And then Tony will then take those questions and get those over to us. Tony, do we have any?
Yeah, we don't have any questions queued up right now. But I had a question for both of you, actually. You started off talking about first getting involved with ARA. When you look back on it now, when you first got involved, you joined ARA and then you took the next step to actually get involved on some committees and really, it became a focus for your business. Can you quantify or just talk a little bit about the impact that decision to get involved with ARA has had on your business?
Yeah, I can start with that one. One of the things we failed to mention, but is the advisory board that's been established through the ARA as well. They actually are a little more individual, but ARA member Dom Clegg is actually one of the driving forces in that. But that's actually the amount of information and the amount of progress that's been made out of that is second to none. Getting involved for me, it meant a lot of things. Number one, I got to experience on how things operate in this industry. Before when I got involved, it was just what I assumed, or just that region of the space that I was servicing. That's what I thought was the best course of action. Just like when I was in law enforcement, training and education is the most important thing. And that's what getting involved offered. There was a lot of training. There was a lot of education. There was a lot of firsthand conversations, hearing how someone did something different. There's more than two ways to skin a cat, the old phrase. But there are absolutely several different ways to run a business and still be successful. Sometimes some are a little more streamlined. Some are a little more beneficial. But all in all, getting involved is where you really get to talk to the people that have done it, that maybe need to learn from you, that can share this firsthand knowledge that's important to you.
I'll expand on what Todd said just a little bit. I'll be honest with you, Tony. It'd be hard to quantify exactly what it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you it's probably the biggest thing that I've done that has helped my business, but probably not necessarily for the reason you think. Just taking it a step further than what Todd said, most people would think getting involved will help you build the relationship with a client, which will drive business. There is some truth to that. What it really does is help you develop relationships with your peers.
Mm-hmm.
To when you're sitting around a campfire, just like this at the bar, and you're just having idle chit chat, that information that is given to you at those points and times throughout the day, throughout the week, the evening, when you're sitting down with your peers, are calling them up, going, I have a problem. And they help you walk through those issues. Why? Because you're involved.
Mm-hmm.
You're now surrounding yourself. What is it they say? You always want to surround yourself with people that are a step above you so that you can rise. Let me tell you, we have some outstanding people in this industry. And when you get involved, it makes those relationships develop that then develop you.
That's a great point, Marcus. Yeah, there's a certain amount of not just camaraderie, but sort of a combination of camaraderie and mentorship that when you intentionally put yourself around the people in your industry that at least from a business perspective may be a few steps ahead of you, then it it makes it that much easier to have clarity on the next step that you should take in order to move your business in that direction.
Without a doubt.
That's huge. All right. Anybody have any questions? We don't have any questions queued up.
I believe Dan Heath's raising his hand.
We're seeing and witnessing,
there
I
you go,
think, an unprecedented level of engagement from the client community with the ARA as a whole. Besides the contract initiative, and the escalation thing is such a huge benefit. That would obviously be a game-changing thing that's sustainable for the industry. Do you feel like the clients feel like the agent community is more united? And what other initiatives do you see the clients considering because of the ARA's advocacy?
To answer your question, yes, I do feel like they feel like everybody's more united because we are more united. The years that have led up to us becoming a united front, and more that people get involved, the more united we're going to be. Marcus, you can correct me if I'm wrong or add to it, but I think the biggest thing that we see coming out of the ARA with the client participation is streamlining services, streamlining procedures and processes. That's one of the biggest things. The second thing I would have to say would be communication. We communicate better than we ever have. And again, Marcus has been around longer than I have, so he can obviously add to that. But communication is twice of what it was just in the short time that I've been involved.
The biggest thing that I would add to that, Dan, that's come to light, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, is the transparency. Um, Not that it's more transparent, right? But we're getting to that point. What we're learning is we don't know what we don't know. And there's a lot behind the scenes, but the curtain or the onion is being peeled back. And we're having those conversations that's going to better help the long term part of the ecosystem, keeping us viable.
Thank you.
That's great. Anybody? Thanks, Dan. Anybody have another question?
I do.
Art, have at it.
Yes. I'm in the process of opening up an additional storage facility, and I ran into this problem as far as the site inspections. Been approved and passed through ARA. However, its risk does not accept ARA, and I'm wondering if there's any discussion. Well, I know there probably is. We've worked together in a couple of areas between different projects and whatnot, but this seems to be an issue that needs some attention. Are you able to speak to that circumstance that we cannot get site inspection without going through risk?
So, to my understanding, the site inspections that have been accepted by almost everyone that get done through the ARA. What I would do is, in this case, let's find out why they're not accepting our site inspection. I would reach out to Wayne Ray and his team, and they could look into that further. I haven't heard in a while that a site inspection hasn't been accepted. So I would reach out to Wayne and talk to him and see if he can shed some light on that for you.
Very good. Okay. Another thing, while we have so many members on here, on the planning committee, NARS planning committee, in the last administration, so to speak, I raised and got a very good response from a number of members, starting with Vaughn, about forming the NARS Foundation. This is for giving scholarships to children and grandchildren of repossessors, not just ARA, but industry-wide, which is the spirit that we hold very strongly in NARS, that anyone can be a member, regardless of their state or national affiliations. But to speak further on this, Vaughn, I see, is on the call. So I put it off to this new administration came in. And I believe going back, am I still on?
You are.
Yes.
You are, Art.
Okay. I went further back in, I can't even remember one, but we used to have an annual fund that we collect for Brian Long's brother who passed away, and it was part of ARA's dues structure. And I'm trying to find most of the people I knew back then are all passed away or out of the industry. I don't know if anyone on this call could reach out to me in this. I'm currently, like I say, in the process of trying to get through to Brian Long, who's down in Costa Rica. But this is a program that I think will give some additional credibility to repossessors in this industry that is not very, fondly looked at most other organizations or whatever. But I will be submitting something. And again, if there's anyone on this call who has information about what ARA previously did, in this situation, because you have to have a separate fund. And I don't know if it still exists within AR. I'm still researching it. And there'll be more that we'll cover next month when we're live in Orlando at the meeting. But unquestionably, ARA has to be involved in this. So at your next opportunity, when you guys are batting things around, you might want to think about this. There was a lot of interest. The initial suggestion was those who want to be on the initial founding part of the NARS Foundation. This would be to be able to continuously every year give scholarships, both athletic and educational.
I like that, Art. We'll make sure that we continue to drive your message. As we close, guys, I just want to thank everybody for being on here. Obviously, Marcus and I are dressed the way we are with the hats on backwards, and to bring a real feel of being around the campfire, man. Just a relaxing chat. We enjoyed it. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. We're looking forward to working with you guys all this year, and looking forward to NARS, of course. Marcus, do you have anything to add?
I just want to show my appreciation. I just flipped through. I don't know if you had the opportunity, Todd, but I flipped through to see all the different people that were on here. I'm excited to jump off this call and get the numbers from Tony, but man, I really appreciate all the participation from everybody. Going forward, I look forward to working with some of you guys. It's an exciting time. Thank you very much.
And we apologize if we forgot someone's name or left someone out, but you guys are all very important to us. We know who you are. You guys know who we are. So, again, we appreciate all you've done, and we look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, real quick before we sign off, I just wanted to encourage you, if you plan on attending NARS 2026, you got to secure your room. These room blocks sell out every year, and NARS is growing every year, so they're selling out faster and faster. And what's happening is there's some phishing issues going on where there's some. If you receive any emails not from ARA about reserving your room, your hotel room, do not do it. Those are scammers. The only way to reserve your room is to do it directly on the NARS website, reposummit.com, or to call the hotel directly. So when you go to reposummit.com, just go to registration to learn more about how to register, and did I miss it? Hotel information under event info. And this is where you'll book. This is what the site should look like. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at home office at americanrecoveryassn.org. I put the email in the chat box. So everybody, thanks for being here, and we will see you in January for the next continuing education webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.